Can we start, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good evening to all of you. I am Shantanu Mukherjee, your host for the evening. On behalf of Torrent Pharma, I welcome you all to this special online CME program under Back to Basic programs. Today, we have gathered to have discussion on the second heart sound in the heart disease. I welcome Dr. Zulfikar Rao, who is the chief organizer of this program. For presentation and discussion on the topic, I welcome our esteemed I am sure this unique platform where evidence meets experience will help all to enrich their knowledge even during these COVID times. Being the host of this program, let me brief some important aspect of this program. All participants to please keep their mics muted except the panelists. This is to avoid the background noise. And if you have any question to ask, please use the chat option and send it to us, and we shall present this in front of the panel member for answering. So once again, I welcome you all. And again, I request our speaker, Professor Dr. Ranjan Shetty, to take the proceeding further. Dr. Shetty, please.
Yes. Hello everyone, it's good to be here. So I'm going to share my slide and we will discuss on the way. Okay. So yeah, today we are here to discuss about S2. I hope you we will have to go to the first slide. Yes. Okay. So let's discuss something about importance of S2. You realize that most of the time when we go to exam, what are the things that examiner is trying to understand from you? See, some things we have already discussed. We have already discussed pulse. We have already discussed JVP. We have discussed palpation. Now these three are extremely important for exam because that's what they're looking for. In auscultation, the murmur we actually discussed, but the key important thing, when you present a case, examiner is always very careful and they're trying to analyze your S2 description. But unfortunately, it's tough to, decipher S2. It's not that easy. But they're always, they're always trying to figure out whether your S2 description is fine or not fine. So always remember, you need to describe S2 very nicely, very clearly, and also you need to describe all the component of S2. Unlike S1, you can't say S1 is normal. The most of us, when we write notes or when we talk, there's a habit of telling S1, S2 normal. I can guarantee you that hardly any of your case S2 will be normal. If your S2 is normal, it's practically a normal heart, and you actually don't have a case which you are trying to present. It's likely to be extremely normal. So S2 almost always is abnormal. So let me tell you some key points in S2 that's what you should understand, so that even before we go to a slide, I'm definitely going to emphasize those things. But even before I go to that, remember, your S2 is never normal in a clinical case. It could be normal in your OPD, but in a clinical case, it is never normal. Either there is variation in duration, or there is variation in intensity, or there is some variation in S2, which will always be there. So please remember this, and that will make it easy for you in exam. Moment you utter S2 normal, your examiner will think there is no case. It's not a case at all. So it can't be normal. That is the first point. Now, what is S2? All of us know, and we also understand there are 2-3 points we should remember when we are in a short period. That's something typically coincides with that. There has to be a pressure transition, and after a certain period of that pressure transition, the valve closes. Is the sound only by valve closure? May not be, because almost all, if you realize, S1 also has 4 components, not just two component. So here also S2 does have more than one component, which is the whole mechanism is actually because of it's been there for a long time. I'll just describe the mechanism in a short while. So people have realized about S2 splitting. People also have it's called the key to auscultation of the heart, and I totally agree with that statement. And if I am an examiner, I am going to cleanly observe your S2 description. That means every examiner will keenly observe your S2 description. Please remember that and give extra emphasis on that. You will be thoroughly impressed by murmurs and extra sounds and all that, but examiner is actually concentrating on S2. What is the genesis? We know the important cause for genesis is actually closure of the wall, but it's also there is a component of abrupt tensing of the closed leaflet with vibration of both RVOTO and LVOTO. This is something which you should understand, that heart sounds are not just by closure of the valves, whether it's whatever heart sound. When you go to genesis, there are also other elements which are involved apart from closure. Typically, it is the area just below, like in mitral, the tensing of mitral cordae also contributes to S1. Similarly, a tensing of and vibration of LVOT, RVOT also contributes to these sounds. Characteristic, we all know the characteristic, it's a high frequency sound. If at all the frequency is also even little higher than S1, that's what it is. Because you see, when we describe S1, it's lub, and when you describe S2, it is dub. So that itself tells you that it's little higher intensity, and it's definitely more sharper than S1. Okay, compared to S1, it's higher intensity and it is sharper. And here, unlike S1, we don't describe about S1 components, or you might actually, without knowing the S1 components, you might be able to clear all your exam. But with S2, it is just not possible. You have to know the component and you need to understand component. It's a diastolic sound. That's one thing. Typically we think S1 is, S1, S2 is systolic and rest is diastolic. No, S2 is diastolic, because palpable P2 is actually called as diastolic shock. Whenever people describe diastolic shock, it's palpable P2. One more golden rule, whether it is palpation, auscultation, is 30 milliseconds. Anything less than 30 milliseconds, human mind cannot distinguish less than 30 milliseconds. Hence, it will be perceived as single sound or single. See, this is what we do for apocarotid delay. Even there, the cutoff of is 30 milliseconds. So remember, 30 milliseconds is the cutoff. P2 is a softer sound normally, and A2 is a louder sound. A2 is for all over, whereas P2 is localized. These are important to describe abnormal sounds. Typically, where is A2 is best heard in aortic area, but it's also heard all over, except in ASD. See, I'm also going to, as we go, there are some rules I'm going to tell you, so that please remember that rules, because as we keep discussing, exam is a multiple choice question. It's almost like a rapid fire. Examiner is going to ask you one question. They don't expect you to explain the whole thing. Moment you answer that, they're happy. For example, P2, audible in apex. However loud, it happens only in ASD, because ASD produces such change in P2 direction that it will be audible in apex. So all other condition, P2 may be loud. I'll describe the loud P2 in a short while, but it's typically not heard in apex. Now, what are the things which when you're describing S2? Now, we are not describing other thing. We are only describing S2. Remember, it is diastolic. Remember diastolic shock. One is intensity. You will describe the intensity, whether it is loud A2, loud P2, soft A2, soft P2. I'll come to how to describe each of them. Split is extremely important. Rather, it's better to start with split and then go to loudness. Split could be normal, wide variable, wide fixed, narrow, which is little controversial, reversed or paradoxical split. Okay. So what is normal splitting? All of us know. Normal splitting is where, A2 doesn't move, but P2 moves. In inspiration, for whatever reason, the P2 goes away, and it's typically 60 milliseconds. And in expiration or exhalation, the P2 comes closer to A2, and it's typically 20 milliseconds, less than 30. Less than 30 is a single sound, and more than 30 is actually a loud sound, but P2 is softer normally. Okay, now all of, we know what produces this, but I'm going to, inspiration with prolonged RV ejection you'll have. But the concept, this slide is extremely important. Now what decides this extra inspiratory contribution? What is that which decides the extra inspiratory contribution? I will keep the chat open, so please feel free to type here. I'm sure all of you heard about hangout interval. No, I'm very sure, because I may not be able to talk to you all. I'm sure you have heard about it, but that is one word. When we are describing P2 or A2 or S2, we are actually describing about hangout interval. So please understand that term, and that term is the one which helps you a lot. Anything to do with split is actually related to hangout interval. You look at this, that change in pulmonary QP2. Q is ECG Q to onset of P2. This is by when you are auscultating the sounds and you are making that sound from beginning of Q to P2 is the major component. But in this, it is the hangout interval which is the major component. Now, what is hangout interval? This is something you should understand. I'm going to take you back 1 second for us to understand. See, all of us from MBBS days, we have been learning ASD as fixed split. And typical teaching is 3 liter blood comes from the, from SVC during inspiration. During expiration, 2 comes from the LA, and during expiration it reverses. Hence, the amount of blood which is flowing into PA is constant, and hence you have a fixed split. That's the explanation which is given to you during your MBBS course and probably most of your MD medicine course. But to be honest, that's not the correct explanation. It's not about 3 liter, 2 liter going here and there. There's only one explanation. That is the pulmonary hangout interval. Pulmonary hangout interval is the single most determinant of the split. That means of the property of where the P2 is here. So can I ask, can I have people just typing whether you understood this? I'm going to describe hangout interval in a short while, but remember today's class, when we are describing, typically it's about some 4 or 5 messages which I'm going to repeat, and about hangout interval, because that's what we need to understand very well. Remember, hangout interval. Okay, now let's see what is hangout interval. I'm sure you understood QP2, but determinant is hangout interval. Let's also understand what happens with normal split. To see, sometimes even especially in kids, you tend to, when you are examining them sitting down, you tend to feel that there is split both in inspiration and expiration. You do get it, but that could be very physiological. Always to define, to tell people that there is wide fixed or wide variable split, that wideness has to be decided in sitting position. Make sure if there is wide, make the patient sit, especially if they are younger. Without that, you cannot comment on wideness. Now, what would Valsalva do? What would narrowing do? Obviously, narrowing would decrease the split. Okay, what would Valsalva do? Valsalva is forced expiration. No, it's as simple as that. A forced expiration would make this P2 to P2 narrow and makes it single. Muller, which is a forced inspiration, will widen the split. So this is how the normal, in normal cases, the dynamic auscultation helps. Now let's again come back to hangout interval. I'm sure most of you know it, but we need to understand it extremely well. Okay, so what's hangout interval? What decides the blood to flow? That's what is hangout interval. If you go by the Incesura, which we described, there is a point when, say, aortic or pulmonary pressure, actually the ventricular pressure falls below, because actual mechanical systole is half. Let me go back to that slide, and then, yeah, let me go back to that one slide which we had. I'll come back here. So if you look at this slide, yeah. Yeah, this slide is what we should understand. So this was meant for aorta. So you have aortic tracing here, you have LV tracing here. So at this point, at midpoint of the systole, the mechanical ejection is only till here. After that, there is no ejection. Only the first half of your pressure curve is the mechanical ejection. At this point, at midpoint, you see the pressure between the ventricle, whether it is RV and PA or LV and aorta, is same. The pressure is same. But the closer heat up, what allows the blood to flow when the pressure is same. It's like, some chamber has a big fluid, big pressure, and you open the door and the blood or the water start flowing other direction. But even after the pressure equalizes, the water or the blood could still decide to flow to that chamber again, for depending on the compliance of that chamber. Since PA is very compliant, there is what is known as hangout interval. So hangout interval is the time from the crossover of the pressure to closure of the respective valve, semilunar valve. That is hangout interval. That is the key point which we need to understand. So typically semilunar valve is expected to close as soon as the pressure crosses over, but in reality actual crossover occurs later due to continued forward course. So even after the pressure crosses over, it doesn't become lower, but the pressure crosses over. By this time the pressure between both the chambers are same, but the flow is in one direction. It doesn't come back to LV or RV, but it goes forward. This gap between the pressure crossover to closure of semilunar valve is called hangout interval. So this is one question which will be asked to you. Whether it is ASD or any other case, people are going to ask you this question. So it is the crossover of pressure to closure of semilunar valve. That's called hangout interval. So what is the hangout interval here? For pulmonary, it varies with respiration. It is 80 millisecond during inspiration and 60 millisecond during expiration. So there is a phasic variation. Phasic is when there is change during respiration. There is phasing variation. Whereas when you look at aortic side, the hangout interval is extremely slow. It is 30 millisecond. I told you anything 30 doesn't matter. So in that 30 millisecond, and it is not phasic. That means it doesn't change with the respiration. So blood decides to go forward. It happens both in left and right side, but it's much marked on the right side. And in right side, respiration has a major role. So this is the clear reason. It's not inspiration, more blood going. Yes, there is a component, RV ejection delayed, but the major change is a change of hangout interval which occurs at this point. Now, what are the determinants of hangout interval? What decides the hangout interval? So important, hangout interval is much longer in right side, and it is very important. So P2 and incisura come delayed after RV ejection, and recoil is lesser in pulmonary, which is much more in aorta. So hangout interval is not a very important aspect on the left side, but it is an important component on the right side, and it is phasic. That means, and it is, there is a component of respiratory variation which is there. Now what decides this hangout interval? Why is that there is a different hangout interval between the right and left, and why is that it affects us when we describe S2? Pressure beyond the valve is important. If there is a high pressure beyond the valve, the hangout tends to be shorter. So aortic side, it's typically shorter. In PAH, given on pulmonary side, it becomes shorter. Dilatation, bigger the artery, more is the hangout. Okay, distensibility, better the distensibility, better is the hangout. Vascular impedance, this is probably the single most important. Impedance is opposite of resistance, and impedance is lower in pulmonary circulation. With the lower impedance, that means it can take more blood. So even if it's like when you say vascular impedance, you are technically saying that there is less resistance to flow. If there is less resistance to flow, even after the pressure crossover, the blood will prefer to flow in that direction, and that is low in pulmonary circulation. But in cases of PAH or PVH leading to PAH, that is lost. Okay, phases of respiration, because lungs are the ones which expand during respiration, so obviously the compliance of the pulmonary vasculature increases well, and hence it does have a big role in affecting the hangout, whereas systemic circulation not so much. So if you have doubts, please put it in the chat. Sudhakar, I don't see anybody putting this question today. So are we confusing them, or Sudhakar, you're
I'm there, sir. I'm there.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Jagdish has put, yeah, it's clear. Anybody else? Otherwise, if there is no response, it's like you're talking to a wall. Yeah. So if asked as to split in pH, I'll come to that. Yeah, capacitance. Yes. So you use whatever term, it's understand that the lung is more compliant, or capacitance, whatever word you want, you use, because we are not physics students to actually describe the exact thing, but once it is understood, it is good. I'm sure many, yeah, I'm happy most of you did understand. So remember, S2 is about hangout interval. Now let's think about abnormal split about S2. Okay, abnormal split of now you could have persistently single S2, okay, but let me tell you right away, right here, that in an acquired heart disease, isolated things like that. If S2 is single, it's almost always combination of both. This is the key message. Whereas in congenital heart disease like TOF, S2 is always single, and that's because A2 is the only one which is audible. In TOF, if you talk about S2 split, which I know that some books do give, but your chance of passing that exam becomes 0, because no examiner accepts that S2 is split in TOF. In TOF, it is always A2, because what is the reason why it is A2? Because one, the sound is also decided by the gradient across the valve is deformed. TOF, that typically the problem is subvalvular. Since the problem is subvalvular, behind, before the valve and after the valve, there is hardly any blood flowing. Beyond the valve, pressure is small, the artery is smaller. These are the determinants of the valve sound. I'll come to that. What determines the valve sound? But I want you to understand one more message from this class, that in TOF, it's always single A2 and single S2, and it is A2. Do not give any other answer other than that. Your only other answer you do, why is A2 single? That is the explanation which we give, because the PS are smaller, pressure is lesser, across the valve the gradient is much lesser, and beyond the valve pressure is lesser. All this makes, if you use a phonocardiogram, you might get a P2, but you don't get it with the stent. So it is single. But on the contrary, acquired heart disease, it's never single. It could be single, but when it is single, it's combination of A2 P2. It's almost always, it's never single. That's what you should understand. If you have a valvular PS, you will hear a S2. Again, there are exceptions to all the rule. You will, if you have a severe AS, you will still hear A2. So in an acquired heart disease, whenever you don't have one more, it is either aortic atresia or it is TOF-like pulmonary problems. That is the only condition where you have a single sound caused by single semilunar valve. All other condition, you auscultate it enough, you will get it. Like for example, in PS, you expect the the S2 to be softer. Yes, it is softer, but it is never absent. In AS, severe AS, it is always present. It is never absent. One more thing, in a AS, like LVOT kind of physiology, if you get a single S2, the rule is, please remember this, it's almost always paradoxical. If you get single, auscultate carefully, concentrate on expiration, you will get the split. It's almost always there. It's paradoxical. Okay, so in a LVOT kind of physiology, if you get A2, if you get a single, remember it is paradoxical. All LVOT look for paradoxical. Your examiner will always get paradoxical, and you will almost always, get confused with paradoxical. If you get single, look for it. Come one space down, come to third intercostal space, concentrate on breathing. You will hear the split during expiration. And also, if you are not very clear with the inspiration, expiration, take the step, put it on your own chest and do deep breathing and exhalation to understand how the split appears. I mean, see, phonocardiography, those recorded sound with drum beats, you're used to it, but it's also important for you to do it in real patient. S2 is confusing, so please make sure that you understood it very well and followed. So TOF, I think there's one in the chat box. Yes, that's right. I don't know the person's name. It's cardio cracker. It's right. Aorta is anterior. That's also the reason why A2 is single, and also it is loud. Okay. Aorta in TOF, S2 is single, but it's not soft. It's single and loud most of the time, and it's not the reason why it's loud is aorta is anterior, aorta is big, so it is actually louder. Okay, but P2, it's always single. That's something which you should understand. So persistently single can happen, but it is usually combination of A2 P2. That means it occurs in physiologies with loud, where there are exceptional paradoxical split, but it's more important in Eisenmengerization, like VSD Eisenmenger. These are the condition where it is persistently single. Persistently split, that means it's wide split, so it could be wide fixed, wide variable, it could be paradoxical. Then there is something called as narrow physiological split. That means there is split, that means inspiratory split and expiratory single. Now people could call it a normal split because how the normal, it appears the same way in normal, but it is narrower than normal. So whenever you describe a PAH, not Eisenmenger, non-Eisenmenger acquired PAH, you typically use the term narrow split. That means P2 is louder now. The split is there in inspiration, it is narrow, and in exhalation it becomes single. You could also call it normal split with loud P2. Both are acceptable. There are 50% examiner will go either way. But if you say it is narrower than normal because you have done enough auscultation, we could buy it, but with a loud P2. Without loud P2, it will still be normal split. Now types of split. Again, it is the same thing in given in this form. There's one question: if TOF, RV and LV ventricular pressure is comes down the same, then aortic pressure is 80, the PA crossover is S2, wide S2 split should be there. No, wide S2 split will not be there. Reason being that in TOF there is a VSD. If the stenosis is very severe, RVOT will not be delayed, RV ejection will not be delayed. Instead, the blood will actually go to LV. So this is the difference between TOF and intact pulmonary septum. When you have intact pulmonary septum and when you have TOF, this is the difference. When you have intact, RV has no choice but to eject it to PA. When it is delayed, in TOF, murmur is always shorter and it is inversely proportional to severity. So if it is more severe, the murmur becomes much more shorter. Cyanosis becomes more and more. So murmur and cyanosis are inversely related. So RV ejection is not delayed in TOF. Hence, P2 is not delayed. Delayed. That's the first point. Is it audible? Phonocardiographically, yes, but clinically, no. Or rather never. It clinically never. Reason why? Valve is abnormal, PA is smaller, across, because there is subvalvular stenosis, just below the valve pressure is low, just above the valve pressure is low, and yes, aorta is anterior and bigger and masking everything, so it's almost always single, but not delayed. Remember, RV ejection is not delayed. It's same as LV ejection, hence it is not delayed in TOF. Okay, TOF is not like intact septum. So this is expiration, inspiration. I hope all of you can see this. Because I've kept the chat open, I have to move the chat box slightly. Okay, now this is the physiological split: single in exhalation or expiration and double in inspiration. And then you have wide variable split, that means it is varying, it is becoming narrow in expiration, wide in inspiration. You have to be careful in picking it up. It is narrow, but it is wide fixed, there are classical example. Reverse split, there are classical example. And narrow slit, very narrow split, there are examples again. What causes abnormal splitting of S2? There is one question. Let me answer this before I go to this one. How to differentiate between A2 and P2, whether it is reversed? This is, I think, Dr. Kash, I have a specific slide for that. I'm going to come to that when we come to reverse splitting. Okay, there is a specific slide. I'll come to that. It's interesting. May not matter much, but it's there is a concept which we'll discuss. Okay, causes of abnormal splitting, pressure difference between you know all this. I think the key causes of is that the hangout interval changes. There are delay in electrical activation, there are delay in the ejection itself, but hangout interval is a crucial explanation, especially when you're talking about wide fixed wide S2. What are the causes of wide split S2? I'm sure all of you know that there are typically three causes here. The wider the S2. Now there is something I want to tell you right now. There are two things. All of you know, I'm sure you know 8 causes of wide S2. Wide fixed, there are definitely 3 causes, but wide variable, there are lots of causes. Now, how do we remember these causes? One. Second, how do we distinguish between these causes? So there's one point which you should remember. The delay could be because of the electrical reasons, like RV pacing, which produces LBBB, RV ectopic, right-sided pathway. These are electrical causes for delay. Same way, when you have, anything like RBBB, LV pacing, LV ectopic, left-sided pathway. Moment you have the delay is because of electrical causes, purely electrical, which could be ectopic, which could be pacing, which could be the WPW pathway, pre-excitation pathway. In such cases, there is either wide or narrow, following the rule, but intensity doesn't change. So if there is a electrical point only without mechanical problem, the intensity of S2, that is P2 or A2, does not change. Okay, remember this rule. If it is mechanical, if it's because of the flow or because of the pressure, both intensity and the duration changes. Okay, I hope everybody followed this. If it is purely electrical, like pacing, natural RBBB, or ectopic, or WP, there are 4 of them. For example, what are the paradoxical split? Anything which is LBBB. So that means it is LBBB, it could be sided pathway. So there are 4 causes. They are LBBB, they are paradoxical split. But in all these 4, although there is paradoxical split, the intensity of either A2 or P2 does not change. Whereas other causes of paradoxical split, like LVOTOs, LV dysfunction, obviously AS, which is a classical LVOTO, HOCM, the intensity of A2 also changes. Okay, that's what you should understand. Now coming to the right side, anything RBBB will delay the pulmonary RVOT. So anything producing RBBB, which includes either LV pace, natural RBBB, LV pacing, LV ectopic, or left-sided pathway, or type A, pre-excitation. All this, the P2 gets delayed and it is wide and variable, but intensity doesn't change. So remember, so when you start, again in exam, they're going to ask a lot of causes. Remember to make a list of these 4. So you have 4 electrical causes causing either paradoxical, which are like LBBB, or wide variable like RBBB, but in all 4, intensity doesn't change. So please remember that. Now what happens? Prolonged RV mechanics. If there is a mechanically RV, like massive PT, PS, in all this with RV dysfunction, the RV ejection gets prolonged, so you will still have wide variable or delayed P2. Pulmonary hangout interval, that's important. If the hangout interval increases, like in ASD, and also post-op ASD. See, going by your 3 liter, 2 liter hypothesis or 3 liter, 3 liter hypothesis, you can never explain a wider split in ASD post-op. Almost 70 to 80% post-op ASD also has a wider split, but wide variable. They don't have wide fixed, but they do have wide variable. The reason being, the hangout interval still remains higher. Although you corrected ASD, it remains higher. Dilatation of PA, as we realize, if PA is dilated, hangout interval will be more. Mild PS means more PA dilatation, less PS. Such physiology also will have a wide, will have a, because of increased handover, to wider split is. So it could also occur in early A2. Wide fixed 3. We are talking about wide variable mainly, but I have mixed both of them. Early A2. So any condition where A2 is early, again there will be a wide variable, because A2 comes here, P2 is that side. Normally it is A2 P2. This happens typically if there is a VSD or MR. See, in MR, early A2 is like VSD. Remember, the blood is going to LA, A2 will come early. In VSD, the blood is going to RV, and that's why A2 comes early. In VSD, the cause for wide variable split. Congenital heart disease, one more very important. ASD has wide fixed, VSD has wide variable, and PDA has paradoxical. We'll come to that later. But remember, PDA is paradoxical, VSD is wide variable, and ASD is wide fixed. Reason for wide fixed in ASD? Hangout interval. Reason for wide variable in VSD is early A2, like MR. Do not think it is delayed P2. It's more early A2, like MR. LV is more empty, like MR. Okay. And reason for a wide fixed paradoxical split in PDA is actually a hangout interval now on left side, because now there is a PA communication with the aorta. Because PA is actually communicating with the aorta, the hangout interval get transferred to left side, and the LV aortic sound gets delayed. So that is the reason why there is paradoxical split in PDA. Okay, so congenital heart disease, remember, top we already discussed. ASD wide fixed, VSD wide variable, but because of early A2. PDA paradoxical because of hangout interval of left side increasing. Okay, so let's see what's happening now here. So shortened LV, like in MR, VSD, even tamponade constriction, LA myxoma, early activation, this which we already discussed. Early activation also produces early A2, but without changing intensity. Trade back and other things also help here, causes this. So wide variable, there are a lot of causes. Divide them into electrical, mechanical, and effect on hangout, and you will never go wrong. But in your mind, have that list, so that if someone asks you, it's like fire drill. If someone asks, you should know. Make these drills with your friends, so that you know the answer before your exam. Fixed split occurs in only 3 conditions. What are they? One is ASD, because hangout interval is increased and it's supranormal and it remains so throughout. Second is actually occurs in RBBB with RV dysfunction. RV dysfunction, isolated, each of them actually produce wide variable split, but together they produce wide fixed. Third is TAPVC. These are the 3 causes for wide fixed split. Carefully auscultate. As you do, you will realize how to distinguish a wide variable from a wide fixed split. We discussed the mechanism, hence it is easy. And anyway, I'll send the slide to Sudhakar. You could go through this. Wide fixed is hallmark of ASD, but with 3, but not pathognomonic. It's hallmark. Okay. Wide variable, you could confuse some wide variable. ASD with PH also is wide fixed, but it is narrower than in the ASD. Eisenmenger also has wide fixed. ASD also has wide fixed. Technically, moment you have ASD, it is always wide fixed. Always wide fixed. That doesn't change. ASD gives you 3 things typical: RV apex, wide fixed split, and ejection murmur in PA. ASD can have 5 different physiology. It could be small ASD, it could be large ASD, it could be Lutenbacher, it could be ASD PH, it could also be ASD Eisenmenger, ASD with cyanosis, 5-6 physiology. But all this physiology, there is only one thing that These three things will remain constant in almost all of them. Okay, there is some change, but these are not appreciable. Remember, it is wide fixed. Other causes are fixed or relatively fixed. Just remember 3 of them, but rest is okay. Now, reverse splitting. This is something which is, I think, very interesting, and people want to know about this. And there was a question. So we discussed wide variable split. We also discussed, wide fixed split. Before we go to reverse, I want to discuss about when do you say A2 is loud and when do you say P2 is loud. Okay, so A2 is loud. How do you say A2? I'm sure you know how to say P2 loud. P2 loud, 3 factors. P2 as loud of A2 in second space. P2 heard beyond second space, that means third and fourth space, or in apex sometime. Palpable P2. So 3 features. You don't have to have all 3 features, even 1 is enough. But P2 heard in apex happens only in ASD, but P2 heard beyond second, third space. Okay, P2 as loud of A2 in second space, palpable P2. All these 3 features of loud P2. I'm sure all of you know. When do you say A2 loud and when do you say S1 loud? You know, this is a little controversial. In the sense, you need to understand it little. In apex, S1 is the loudest sound, A2 is easily heard. In aortic area, A2 is the loudest sound, but S1 is easily heard. So to say S1 loud, you need, or S2 loud in this case, A2 loud, you need to compare A2 of aortic area to S1 of mitral area. You understood? So you're comparing across area. So S1 in mitral, loudest. A2 in aortic, loudest. To say either of them is loud, you compare S1 in aortic, S2 in aortic area to S1 in mitral area, across the area, and then you feel this is loud, then A2 will be louder. Okay, that is how you tell A2 louder. How do you say P2 louder? It's very simple. It's one area, pulmonary area only. If P2 is as loud as A2, or more than one space, that is 2, second, third space, or in apex sometime, or palpable. So these are the 3 criteria. So there's one question by Cardio Cracker. Can I know your name, Cardio Cracker? You could type your name. You know, it's interesting question. So ASD with Eisenmenger will have ejection? Yes, because the PA is dilated, invariably there is ejection murmur. Okay, even in Eisenmenger you will have an ejection murmur. It's Dr. Sahil. Okay, Dr. Sahil. Even in ejection you will have all 3 physiology. So did you all of you follow? How do you say A2 loud? How do you say P2 loud? How do you say S1 loud? Did you all understand hangout interval? And did you understand the split produced by electrical changes and split produced by mechanical changes? If it is S, I'll go to paradoxical split. Or anything you want me to describe, explain, you can tell. Yes, so Dr. Kalyan is understood. So I assume all of you are following. Sudhakar, any question here?
No, sir, I think.
It's okay, no? Yeah, no need to repeat any of those, no?
No, sir.
Yeah, even the loud A2, that's something which probably, no? Yeah, yeah. So Ashok wants to repeat. So I'll talk about A2 loud. A2 is when second space, that aortic space S1 is compared with mitral, aortic S2 is compared to mitral S1. Whichever is louder, that is loud. Okay. So I think Dr. R.P. Singh also same. Whichever is loud, you compare across the zone and tell whichever is louder, which is better. Okay. So let's go to reverse splitting. So S2 is, reverse splitting means whenever there is, how does the hangout interval does not vary in inspiration? In ASD, yes. See, what varies in inspiration? It's a good question, Dr. Pradvi. So what leads to hangout interval variation? Hangout interval is dependent on the pulmonary vasculature, because inspiration, expiration. In ASD, this is something which is very interesting. It is believed, because it's a congenital heart disease and, there are changes in vessel architecture also. It is believed that the vessels are maximally compliant. Okay, since they are maximally compliant, inspiration expiration does not alter it. So that is the explanation. If they are already dilated enough, if they are already stuffed with enough flow, just a breathing may not alter it. So that is the explanation which is given for hangout interval which is high from beginning and does not vary with respiration in this. But remember, PDA is paradoxical because now iota is connected to PA and that hangout is transferred to the left side, hence it is paradoxical. Loud S1 criteria, yes, loud S1 is the one of the criteria is what I told. If it is louder than A2 in iotic area, it is loud. If it is palpable like tapping, then it is also considered loud as S1. And the third is experience when you compare across patient. Typically in cardiology, we do not encourage comparing across patient because each patient have their own characteristic. Chest wall is different, lungs are different, your strength is different, so we don't want you to we want you to compare anything in the same patient, but experience also matters. To tell loud S1, if it is palpable like tapping, it is loud. If it's louder than S2, that is A2 in iotic area, then it is considered loud. And from your experience, when you compare across the patient, it is louder, it's considered loud. Okay. Okay. So, Dr. Jagdish, I think that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Now, reverse splitting S2. Now, let's come to reverse splitting. Very important. Almost all LVOTO, you know the causes of reverse splitting. So, anything producing LVBB electrically. That means right ventricular bracing, right ventricular ectopic, natural LVBB, pre-excited, right-sided pre-excitation or type B pre-excitation. What else produces? Anywhere LV ejection is delayed, like LV dysfunction, AS, or all the LVOTO, both fixed and dynamic. AR also, but rarely, but more AS because AR ejection is still maintained, but rarely. It could be, it's also listed as a cause. And PDA, or wherever, say even aortic fistulas can produce, any other aortic fistula with rapid runoff could also typically make A2 delayed, prolonging ejection, but PDA is mainly because of hangout interval. Also, what I want you to remember is, this is something which is very commonly missed. So whenever you get a single S2 and you're not dealing with Eisenmenger, remember it is paradoxical. Look for paradoxical. So keep your strength. Do not ask the patient to take deep breath or light breath. They should breathe normally, but you need to keep looking for that split which you get when the patient exhales out and not during inspiration. Invariably, as I told, as a rule, LVOTO, if you get single, look for paradoxical. It is possible to have single rarely, but most of the time it is paradoxical. What happens in paradoxical? A2 now is later, P2 is earlier, inspiration, so there is a wide split in exhalation, but inspiration P2 to go to A2 and then it becomes single. That is the reason. Now, this was one question which was asked by someone about sequence identification. I think it's Dr. Salil, no? Sequence identification. In normal, A2 precedes P2. While A2 is heard best in apex, P2 is normally never heard in apex except in ASD, only one exception. So as you auscultate, you are supposed to identify from you start in second, third space, go to apex. If you still hear that component of the sound, then it's very likely A2. If that component, whichever you're trying to figure out, is now, if the first component is heard till apex, typically that is A2. Second component disappears in A2 P2. But if it is the other way, then you know that P2 was actually before A2. Okay, so this may be tough, but this is how you answer the separate when you don't know whether it's A2 P2. One more question is which is usually asked is in exam, if it is single, how do you say whether it is A2 or P2? This will be asked to you. Answer is, you cannot tell it by the sound, you go by other features. That means you go by whether it is LVOTO, RVOTO, other inspectory, palpatory, auscultatory finding, but not by the sound. Okay, this will be asked. If it is single, whether it is A2, how do you say whether it's A2, whether it's A2 P2 or combination? Typically, as I told, in acquired heart disease is almost always combination. Other sound does not disappear, but then to tell you have to go by other features. Okay, so how do you say that component which is dropped when you go to apex is actually P2? Component which remains when you auscultate towards apex is A2. A2 typically is the first of the two component, and this one is second of the component. In ASD, it is very simple because the second component is always P2 in ASD. Okay, so if you have a wide fix, that does not occur with paradoxical split at all. So if you have a wide split, you are always sure that second component is actually P2, because wide fix only occurs if there is a P2 which is delayed. Okay, it's good. Lots of interaction. I hope you understood this. The first of component is dropped, then it will actually be P2. That means it's P2A2 sequence. If the second of the component is dropped, it is A2P2 component. I don't know how practical it is, but this is a very good way to tell your examiner that you know your stuff. Okay, and please do this. Unless think about all this is believing in it. I keep telling you that believe, do it. Don't think it as just a theory. Do this, and it will help you. Key to oscillation of reversed. This one is the amplitude of both should be accessed, and sequence has to be assessed. The way to assess sequence we already did. Valsalva, the strain phase of Valsalva, which is a forced expiration, actually the split widens, unlike the other. Even in ASD, it doesn't alter. Almost all other wide variable split, the component narrows. Here it is it actually widens upon release. Upon release is like inspiration, hence it becomes single. Okay, so if you have doubt, you could do that to be very sure. Okay, you could use Valsalva. So expiratory split is typical, but the gap has to be more than 30 milliseconds. Only then you will analyze it. Persistent split in expiration is always abnormal. You have to have it single. If it is persistent, it is abnormal. But you have to make sure either it's wide or this. But it's very important to make the patient sit before you are very sure. Now, what are the types of paradoxical split? You have to know this. There is type 1, type 2, type 3. It's only type 1 which is very traditionally picked up and traditionally described. In type 1, it's actually QP2. Pulmonary side is normal. If the problem is A2, so QA2 gets, Q is ECGQ. Okay, QA2. That means LV ejection is delayed with normal RV ejection. So expiration there is split. Inspiration now P2 goes near A2, and the split becomes single. What happens in type 2? I'm sure there is this one. So this is traditional. Okay, expiration, there is a split because P2 is moving this side, and inspiration it comes here. This is traditional. Type 2 is partial, whereas P2 in expiration is here, but it comes in inspiration. The P2 goes away, but it goes to on the other side. So that is partial. Most of the time it appears single. If you're lucky, this also could be cause of a reverse splitting, but you should know all three types when they ask. Reverse splitting causes, we already discussed. Early P2 occurs in type B WPW, whereas all other, or it could also occur in RV ectopic and RV pacing, which is also LBBB, whereas delayed A2 occurs in complete, classical LBBB. Prolonged LVOTO, hypertensive heart disease, rarely, but it can happen. But IHD, LV dysfunction, iota, if it is dilated, as we discussed, the A2 gets delayed. PDA is because of now hangout interval being shifted to left side. Increased QA2 is simple to understand. Anything with LBBB or mechanical problem will delay. It's basically telling that delayed LV ejection, but any electrical intensity doesn't change. Any mechanical, invariably intensity will be changed. Okay. Pseudo-paradoxical splitting, P2 may disappear during inspiration with patient with emphysema because the lung is covered, but it's actually not really disappearing, and that may be confused for paradoxical split, but here it becomes single. Severe AS, paradoxical split, almost always, Dr. Chetan, almost always, hence all AS, all LVOTO, if you're getting a single sound or if you think it is single, remember it is very, very, very likely paradoxical, hence go down and concentrate on inspiration and expiration. My advice is, HCM also produces it. My advice is spend some time on S2. That's why we are doing this class also. See, we have done, I think, 2 murmurs and some ASD. But most important thing is that we are actually discussing just the topics which are very important for your exams. These are the points, actually topics which decide about the candidates pass and fail. So remember all this. This is basics. When people say, I mean, there's no rational explanation why S2 should be basic and S1 not, or S4 not. There is no rational. But basics in cardiology is pulse, JVP, palpation, and S2. That's basic. These are the things which can, genetics never fails a candidate, but S2 does. So please concentrate on S2. Now, severe PAH, that's what we discussed. Now, the hangout interval is less. The split appears normal because inspiration it is why it's heard and expiration it is not heard, but it is narrower than normal. So this could actually be called normal split or narrow split. But when you are saying narrow, you're using your experience and your experience of examining many patients where you're telling, I feel it's narrower than normal. But it's also made on other factors. With a louder P2, S2 which appears normal, split which appears normal actually is a narrow split. Okay, paradoxical and reverse split is same, Dr. Ashok. You could use it interchangingly. A mechanism of persistently single, it occurs in congenital heart disease, as I spoke. Very common in congenital heart disease. You could have pulmonary atresia, aortic atresia, top single truncal wear. It's not audible because of many reasons. But remember, in an acquired heart disease, if it is single, it's combination of both. But how do you distinguish whether it is combination? Because of other features and not this. Differential, what are the things which you could get confused? As I this is something which whenever I take a auscultation class, I tell you it's too many events, so you need to identify events close to S1 and close to S2. What are the events which are close to S1? S4, S1 2 components, and early ejection click. No, so these are the conditions which are close to S1. So you always get, all of them look like a split S1. If it is a low frequency, you press the diaphragm, it disappears, then it's likely a S4. If you keep it light and you get, then it is S4. But heard both in light and hard palpation, that's actually a click. That's how you do with S1. Now with S2 also, you'll have the same problem. You have split, which is best heard in pulmonary and area below. You also have an opening snap, and you have S3, so and a very late click. So these are the things which are around S2, and you could get confused with them. How do you distinguish? I'm sure by this time A to P2 you know how to do it. Inspiration, expiration, typically it varies. But there are exceptions. Opening snap is best heard in 4th intercostal space down, medial to apex, wherever be the apex. Remember that even if apex is 7th, 8th intercostal space, opening snap is best heard medial to apex, preferably in the normal apex. 4th, 5th is where opening snap is heard. It's high pitch, it's lying down, it's widely heard. Typically, you don't get confused with A2, P2 because it is lower. S2, S3, yes, because S3 is low pitch. That means if you use the bell or diaphragm, either is fine. But if you press it, it's going to disappear, and there are maneuvers which can change. Non-ejection click is high, but it's more systolic, more at the apex. That's the apex of the heart. It's more found in MR. So you can this. Intensity of A2, P2, I think I should have done it first. The slides are later. They do vary, but we already discussed. Loud A2 is where A2 is palpable. It's definitely loud, but the key point is A2 in aortic is louder than A1. Loud. There are many causes. Wherever A2 is anterior, you get it. Whereas dilatation, you get like tamboon effect. Rule in bicuspid valve, when it's bicuspid AS, there is rule of 1/3. 1/3 of A2 is loud, 1/3 it is normal, 1/3 it is soft in bicuspid AS. Okay, A2 is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. What decides it? Aorta decides it. Whereas in rheumatic, A2 is invariably soft. Okay, rheumatic AS, A2 is soft, but almost never single. Once you understand never single, it's easy for you to. It's always paradoxical is very common. Single is never. Okay, keep that in your mind. I know there are exceptions, but if you believe it is never, you will pick up the paradoxical split. So rheumatic AS, A2 is soft. Bicuspid AS, 1/3 normal, 1/3 soft, 1/3 loud, depending on the dilatation of the aorta. Anywhere aorta is dilated, A2 becomes loud. Anywhere aorta is anterior, A2 becomes loud, including top. Okay, top also A2 is loud. Soft F2, we already discussed. AR, most pathology it is soft if it is valve, but if it is wall, like in syphilis, it becomes loud, and that's called tambourine effect. Loud P2, we already discussed. Apex is only ASD. Beyond its point, palpable and presence, the second component is loud. So yeah, if the P2 is, if you can grade it, and if it is very loud, it actually indicates a higher RV pressure. Higher the pressure in PA, it becomes extremely loud. Soft P2, top is single P2, dysplastic may be single, but pulmonary stenosis, it's not single, it is soft. Pulmonary stenosis, intact septum, rarely that you get a valvular ejection click, which is best at in expiration, and also you get a P2, which is almost audible because the PA is dilated, so it is that. So I think yes, this is just to tell you that S2 is never normal in any heart disease. Okay, if you have a significant heart disease, S2 is abnormal. That means all your exam cases, S2 is abnormal. If it is normal, you're dealing, it's no case at all. So there will always be some variation in S2. You think of your own different cases, you will realize S2 is always abnormal. But in spite of knowing that, there are many times you'll end up telling it is normal and get caught. So it's never normal. Find out your whole, if I have to summarize in one line, whole exam case is about finding what is that which is abnormal in S2. Okay. Does S2 vary in pre and post capillary? Yes. If it is a pre capillary, like you are talking about, S2 varies in hyperdynamic and obliterative pH. If the pH is obliterative or it is a PVH, then S2 is narrow, split, and loud. But if there is flow, if it is hyperdynamic, like in ASD or sometime in VSD, it actually becomes loud and it becomes white. Okay, that's what happens. MR, one more very important. MR, single most. This is one more question asked. How do you distinguish a severe AR, a severe MR in presence of severe AR? That means AR is already there. AR is severe. You have hill sign, you have all the head nodding to all sign. But MR, you're not able to assess. Why? There is cardiomegaly, which could be because of AR. There is MDM, which could be Austin Flint. You are not very sure. So the only answer is by A to P2 split. Severer the AR, earlier will be the A2, and hence wider will be the A2 P2 split. So MR affects A2 or P2 split, MS affects, AS affects, AR affects. So you talk of any disease, S2 is affected, maybe in different direction. So in a given case, S2 cannot be different. Sudhakar has a question. What happens to S2 in different Eisenmenger? That is a very good question. Let me tell what happens in ASD, wide variable, normal ASD. What happens in PDA, VSD, wide, ASD is wide fixed, VSD is wide variable, PDA is paradoxical. Now what happens in Eisenmenger? ASD Eisenmenger, there is PAH which is obliterative, but it's still wide and fixed in majority, wide and fixed. Maybe narrower than what it was, but nobody follows the patient to Eisenmenger. So you will still call it wide and fixed. What happens in VSD? Up to 67% of them is actually single. Each of them have exception. VSD Eisenmenger, classically it is single, and PDA Eisenmenger, classically it is narrow split, not paradoxical. Paradoxical is a shunting PDA. Here it is classically narrow split. But VSD and PDA can interchange. VSD can have narrow split and PDA can have single. Small percentage PDA can even have paradoxical split, but in majority it is the way we describe. Aortic wall disease we already described. I don't think so we need to go to this. I think we have described all this. This acyanotic heart disease also we describe this. You can go through the slides at your ease. AF it changes. That's what you should understand. Okay. Okay. Anything else? I think we'll stop this. In VSD, we discussed this also important. Remember the changes. Invariably, it occurs because of early A2, but P2 tends to be louder because the PA pressure goes up. So it's small ASD, VSD, nothing happened. Larger the VSD, more the PA pressure, the P2 component becomes louder. And in Eisenmenger, it actually becomes this. Okay. PDA is important. See, small PDA, nothing. Large PDA, paradoxical. PDA, Eisenmenger, narrow split. That is classical. Okay. So please go through this, and yeah, if you have doubts, we'll answer. So I would also like to thank our Dr. Rocky, who made a beautiful, slides, and Dr. Sudhakar, who contributed to these slides. Any questions, I will be happy to answer. Yes. So do you want me to summarize? If anybody wants to summarize, I can summarize, say 2-3 points. Okay, let me summarize 2-3 points. One, what did we discuss today? We discussed that S2 is very, very important, and none of your case will have normal S2. So take it off your mind. None of your case will have normal S2. That's the first point we understood. Second point, how to say A2 loud. Palpable A2, definitely loud, but most important, comparison of A2 here to comparison of A2 there. How to tell P2 loud? More than in his space, palpable, or sometime in apex, and as loud of A2. That's how you say P2 loud. Hangout interval is the key determinant of the timing. Anything which produced electrical, the intensity of the sounds do not vary. Anything mechanical, typically intensity varies. Remember, congenital heart disease, you can have single A2, rarely single P2. Acquired heart disease, they are never single, they are usually combined. Most LVOTOs, where you think single, will actually have paradoxical split. Okay, that's the point which we should understand. Anything else, Sudhakar?
No, sir, I think you have covered everything, sir.
Okay. Anybody has any other doubt? Normally, P2 is louder than A2 in pulmonary. No. It's always softer. If it is as loud as A2 or louder, then it is loud. As is enough. Okay, as loud as. Equal to A2 is also a loud P2. So typically, P2 is always less louder than A2. Typically, even in pulmonary area. Previous video.
Sir.
Yeah.
Recently, some MD student asked me a question.
Okay.
He encountered a question in a PH. Some books mention in the initial part, S2 split becomes wide, and in the later part, as it becomes severe, it becomes narrow.
Okay.
So why does it happen?
I think, there is an explanation for this, Sudhakar. Explanation, can be given. If the PA gets dilated first, then it will become wider, no? If it gets dilated. But if you ask me, logically, it should be the other way. The initial part, it should be narrow. Later, when RV dysfunction sets in, it should become wider.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, if at all PA dilates for any reason, it could go the other way, but otherwise it should be the other, it should be other way. Initially, first thing to hit will be hangout interval. So it should become narrow, provided PA is not extremely dilated. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And if not, with the RB dysfunction or onset of RBBB, it can become wider.
Yes, sir.
One question is severe AR with severe MR. A2 will be soft due to air. How to? Yeah, it's soft but never absent. Never absent. So split is almost always audible. Remember, A2 is not absent in acquired heart disease, and P2 is not absent in acquired heart disease. It's very rare. So inaudibility is not a point here. It's only congenital heart disease. It's almost always audible. Okay, you will get it. And A2 audible is impossible because in Apex you will have to hear some sound. Some people want the link in YouTube.
Yes, sir. By tomorrow it will.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think we'll conclude, sir.
Yeah. We'll conclude. Okay.
Yes, sir. We are now towards concluding this wonderful program. I must
just one second, Shantanu. Yes, sorry about that.
Yes.
See, I also, Sudhakar and everybody here, on this Friday, I think the timing may be 7:30. We are going to have a CAT discussion. Okay, CAT discussion. We have split into 3 groups. CAT discussion. So please, the 3 groups. So the first group will be only on data. Data means numbers, which will have saturation and pressure data, and we are going to do some calculation. The second will be on tracing, and third will be on angio. So there will be 3 CAT classes, okay, starting from this Friday to next Friday and Friday after that. So please attend if you are interested. It will definitely help in your exam, and Sudhakar will put the link in all the groups. So it will be 3, starting from extremely basic, the CAT discussion. Some of these will obviously come. We are going to discuss about pressure and why do we get certain finding, how to do calculation of CAT data, and what are the what are the places where we go to have this. So it's going to be on this Friday and 2 subsequent Fridays. Okay, please attend whoever wants to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Shantanu, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we are now towards concluding this wonderful program. I must say it was an exciting program which has enabled us to gain from the wisdom and the expertise of the speakers and panelists. I take this opportunity to thank Professor Dr. Ranjan Shetty and Dr. Sudhakar Rao for their great contribution in making this program possible and successful. I am thankful to all participants who have taken time out of their busy schedule to attend this program. I thank all of you for making this event a successful, and I sincerely hope your support will remain with Torrent in times to come. Thank you, goodbye, and good night to all. Thank you, Dr. Shetty. Thank you, Dr.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.